Good morning, Tri-C Elementary. This is Mrs. Forby, and today is Wednesday, April 29th. We don't have any Tri-C birthdays today, so if you would please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, on this day in history, April 29th, 1927, the construction of a very famous airplane was completed. There was a competition to see who could make the first non-stop solo flight all by themselves across the Atlantic Ocean from New York City to Paris, France, or from Paris, France to New York City. This was called the Orteig competition, and it had a prize of $25,000. Many pilots tried and failed to make this flight, but a mail carrier pilot who no one had really heard of wanted to build a plane and try making this flight. He found someone who said that they could help him build the plane in just 60 days. In order to carry the fuel that would be needed to make this 3,600-mile flight, they would need 450 gallons of fuel, and this would take 5 different gas tanks. 2 tanks would be placed in the front of the plane and 3 tanks in the wings of the plane. Because they needed to put 2 gas tanks up front, they could not put a front windshield on the plane. And when sitting in the cockpit of the plane, if the pilot was looking straight at the dashboard, it had nothing but gauges on it. The cockpit was so small, the pilot couldn't even stretch his legs. It was only 36 inches wide, 32 inches long, and 51 inches tall. And in order to see out the plane, the pilot would have to look out the side windows of the plane. And if he needed to see straight in front of the plane when flying, he would need to slightly turn the plane so that he could see out the side window. This didn't seem to bother the pilot because he was a mail carrier, and he said he was used to sitting in the rear cockpit of a mail plane, and the mail bags would be sitting in the front of him, blocking his front view of the plane. And with all the gauges that needed to be put on the dashboard, one of the gauges, the main compass, had to be installed behind the pilot. And in order to see the main compass, the pilot had them mount a mirror from a woman's makeup case on the ceiling of the plane. The mirror was stuck on the ceiling of the plane with a piece of chewing gum. On another funny note, the man that they had to build the plane engine, he built plane engines, he was very disappointed that he was being pulled from his normal work to build a special engine for a plane for some unknown aviator or a pilot to try to make this flight that no one had ever done before. 21 days after the plane was completed, on May 20th, 1927, the pilot stepped aboard the plane and began his flight from New York City to Paris, something that had never been done before. 30 hours and 30 minutes later, the pilot, Charles Lindbergh, landed his plane called the Spirit of St. Louis in Paris, France, making him one of the most famous pilots ever. That's all I have for announcements. Turning it over to you, Mr. Owens.
Happy Wednesday morning, everybody. We are so excited to share our first teacher trivia answer today, but before we get to that, we have some students we'd like to recognize joining the Book of Success. First, from Mrs. Horning, Elijah Wampler for his beautiful musical painting that he gave her, Tilly and Addie Miller for a fun rendition of a song they wrote called Little Ducky, shared via YouTube, Jackson Ebert for his photo of singing along with Mrs. Horning while using his guitar, great job Jackson, and Karina Boatshow for sharing each week about how music stays in her life. She enjoys playing music with her dad. Great job, boys and girls, for continuing your work with Mrs. Horning and her music class. From Mrs. Brookhouse, she'd like to recognize these students for joining their Zoom meeting yesterday morning. They were really excited for the chickens to hatch. More on that in just a second. Liam Ital, Briley Schimpf, Emily Buckles, Ben Hubbard, Zoe Smith, Emily Curbs, Logan Wheaton, Rosie Ortiz, and Araya Adams, Emmy Lazar, and Kennedy Bramlett. There were some on the second page there. In Mrs. Lay's class, Kyle Pickford, Cora Gregory, Camden Eastman, Graydon Adams, Hillary Stewart, Cameron Lingefelter, Peyton Ziegler, Riker Batson, Garrett Eastman, Brennigan Ogan, and Brooks Fisher joined a Zoom meeting on Tuesday and shared what they have been doing at home. Great job, Mrs. Lay and students. And finally, first grade is on day 16 of 21 of their chicken hatching project. Stay tuned for a new video on Friday. So we have a couple more days to wait until first grade shares another video from their chickens hatching from the incubator. I am so excited to share with you the winner of our first day of teacher trivia, and words cannot even do it justice, so I'll have you check this out and see who the teacher was who was formerly on The Price is Right.
Yes, you're the winner. $15,235. You won a new car on The Price is Right. We've had 5 winners out of 6 games. Already won a new automobile. She wants to add to her loot. You have a dime. Now, go for 90 cents. 90 cents, that's what you need. 90 cents, there it went. Now, this could be close. The 90's coming up. It's coming over. It's coming down. It's going by. Oh, Sherry, that was close. Thank you. And she left it in the perfect spot for you.
That's right. It was no other than Mrs. Vanderzeel in 1998 in Hollywood, California. She was on The Price is Right. So congratulations to Olivia Snow, whose mother submitted her answer and correct guess via Facebook yesterday afternoon. Olivia, we have a prize coming your way. Today's question, give you guys another shot at it. Today's question is, what former professional athlete now teaches at Tri-C Elementary? One of our teachers is a former professional athlete, not just a high school or just a college athlete, but a professional athlete. Again, share your guesses who that teacher might be via Facebook, email, or on our Twitter page. We hope you all have a great day. Thanks.